Hello out there. Today I'm going to be continuing my Narcissists and Psychopaths series. So this is part 2 in that series. And today's topic is how to spot a narcissist. So we're going to go through the characteristics in a little bit more detail. Last time, or part 1, I talked about the psychological criteria and the diagnostic criteria used to classify someone as having a narcissistic personality disorder or antisocial personality disorder, which is often referred to in clinical practice as psychopathy or a psychopath, because they're quite similar. So I wanted to highlight both of them because I think quite often in society we use the term narcissist to cover a broad range of people, but it's not necessarily what they are. So before I go any further, for those who don't know me, I'm Jen, and I use my psychology degree to help women find freedom from the thought processes that are holding them back. And I specialise in helping sensitive extrovert women, and I help them own their uniqueness and shine their light brightly in this world. You can find me in my free Facebook group, Bright Sparks, Empathetic Extroverted Warrior Women. The link to join the group is in the post attached to this video. We'd love to have you there if you think you can relate. If you're watching the replay of this video, please let me know below by just saying hi or hashtag replay. Also let me know where in the world you're watching this from, because I love to circle back and say hi to people. Back to today's topic though, how do you spot a narcissist? So I'm going to go through some characteristics and some things to look out for that will help you be able to spot one much sooner than you have before. So probably the most dominant characteristic of a narcissist is that they put themselves first above all others. That includes their partner, their children, anybody else. They consider themselves above everybody. They also love talking about themselves. They don't like talking about you at all. And if you do say something when you're in a conversation with them, they will either dismiss it or quickly circle the conversation back around to them. So it's quite, in a conversation with a narcissist, that's when it can become quite obvious, because it feels like it's just them, and they're not interested in you at all. But remember that in terms of fitting the criteria for a personality disorder, a person needs to have a certain number of these characteristics that we're going through. So if you go back to part 1 of this series, then you'll find a little bit more information on that. Okay.
I don't have an answer for that. Is there something else I can help with?
I just activated Siri. I said series and my phone thought I said Siri. Anyway, back to narcissists. They're also very flattering, and often this can be a ploy to get you to fall in love with them. So if you come across somebody who is almost a little bit over the top in their flattery, it's nice to be paid compliments by people, but I think if you're paying attention, you can see whether they're too often coming at you all the time. Maybe they're a little bit exaggerated. That could be the sign that the narcissist is trying to manipulate you into liking them or falling in love with them. The other thing they love to do is brag. And it's all about things, not necessarily all about things they have achieved. It could also be things in the future that they're going to achieve. So I'm going to create this successful business, and I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do that. It's going to be the best thing since sliced bread. So love to brag. They also love being the center of attention. So if the attention in a group situation moves to somebody else, they will do something to bring the attention back to themselves. They love name dropping as well, and they are obsessed with image. Now, the next one I'm going to talk about is a really crucial and defining symptom of a narcissist, and that is they lack empathy. So if you combine the lack of empathy with a sense of entitlement plus exploitation of others, which we're going to talk about in a little bit, then that's usually a pretty good sign that you're dealing with a narcissist. Now, a good way to test whether somebody lacks empathy is to pay attention to their facial expression when they're telling a sad story, or their reaction when you're sharing a sad story with them. Chances are they're not going to display any emotion. They're not going to say anything that indicates they understand where you're coming from or they empathize with you. Some examples of lack of empathy are also rudeness. They don't listen to you. They walk ahead of you. They often ignore you and your boundaries. So if you're somebody who's done my recent Beautiful Boundaries challenge and you try and implement boundaries with this person and they just continue to ignore them, then that's a bit of a red flag as well. Now, the next one is the sense of entitlement. So narcissists believe that they are the center of the universe. They are special and they deserve special treatment. Now, this is whether or not they have ever proven themselves in any area to be special or better than anybody else. They don't necessarily have a backing. They just think that they deserve better treatment than anyone else. They also don't believe rules apply to them. And some examples of how this might play out is you dealing with a narcissist, you are expected to accommodate all of their needs. For example, they might expect you to stock their favourite treats in your car. They might expect you to like what they like. They always expect to meet at their convenience, even if it's not convenient to you. And it feels like a very one-sided relationship. So they're not concerned with your wants, your needs, what you want to do, what you need to do. They couldn't care less about that. The next one I touched on before about exploitation. So narcissists like to exploit others, and this is not necessarily going to be obvious at the very beginning. Often this comes out when you get to know them a little bit better. But if you are in a relationship with someone, friendship or intimate relationship, and you start to feel used or manipulated, and manipulation can come across often as covert aggression, they will say whatever they need to say to get you to do their bidding. So if you start to feel that way or start to notice that it's their way or the highway and they use all sorts of manipulation to get you to do what they want, then that's a chance that that is exploitation. Some examples of this also come out as lying, gaslighting. Now, this is a term that's also used a lot on the internet that I'm not sure if everybody knows what it is. So gaslighting is where somebody manipulates you into doubting your own sanity. So it's pretty full on if you're on the receiver of that. Other ways that exploitation might come out is cheating, could be some financial fraud going on. And the next characteristic is they envy others. So this plays out because basically they want to be the best, they want to be first, they don't like their competitors no matter who they are, and they love to tear other people down and say they don't deserve what they've just won or what they've just earned. Now this even includes their own children and their partner, so they cannot feel joy or feel proud of the people that they supposedly love and care about when they do something well or they win a prize or they succeed. They can't handle that, and they will actually try to tear those people down. If others attempt to criticize them, then they will simply dismiss it as, oh, well, they're just jealous of me, they're envious. So they can't take criticism because they never even listen to it. They just dismiss that person as being envious of them. Couple more. So arrogance is the next one. So they like to put others down. This one, the easiest way to determine if this is one of their characteristics is if you pay attention to how they treat people who they consider below them. So it could be waiters in a restaurant, other people who serve them, for example, their secretary. So pay attention to how they treat people that they would consider below them. And the flip side of that is they suck up to people of influence. So if they are in the vicinity of anybody who is a person of influence, so for example it could be the CEO of their company, then they're going to suck up to them at any opportunity. The way this might play out in terms of treating people they consider below them is they might be rude to the wait staff that are serving them dinner, and it might actually come out as quite personal comments, so not even complaints about the service, but complaints about the person themselves. Can also come out as abrupt anger or covert hostility. The arrogance also plays out in that they are always right. So if you dare to disagree with them, watch out, because that's not going to go down very well. You might also feel interrogated or steamrolled if you're in a relationship with a narcissist, or maybe your words are twisted all the time. So you're forever kind of going, no, that's not what I said. That's not what I said. You're twisting my words. The other thing, which is really crucial, is a narcissist will never take responsibility unless it's for a success, and then you'll never hear the end of it. But if it's something that they've done to hurt you or hurt somebody else, they will never take responsibility for that, and they will always blame others. They will also rarely apologize. So the only time a narcissist will apologize if it's part of a way to manipulate you into getting them to do something that they want you to do. And I know I can see somebody's with me, but because of this, I use eCam to record these videos. I can't see who you are. So hello, whoever you are, thank you for watching. So yes, they really apologise unless it's a way to manipulate you into doing something that you want them to do. The other way to kind of have a bit of an indication of whether you're dealing with a narcissist is when they talk about their past relationships, listen closely to see if they act like a victim. So it was kind of like a poor me, they did this, they did that, they were horrible to me. If it's those sorts of stories that you start to hear. Also, if there's this kind of, if they're like still seething with resentment over their exes. So if there's still a lot of kind of negative emotion that's coming out in quite a strong way, then that's also another red flag. So that's pretty much the characteristics in a little bit more detail. I'm aware that I've gone over quite a bit my 10-minute limit. So just to wrap up, what I would like to do is to set you a little bit of a challenge. Have a look back at past relationships, or could be a current relationship, and use the list that we've just gone through to determine if that person potentially fits the characteristics and the criteria of narcissistic personality disorder. And if you could please share your findings with the group, so the Bright Sparks group, just so that we can all learn from each other. The other thing I would like you to do, or love you to do before you sign off this video, is if you could share below one thing that you really liked about this video, or one kind of light bulb moment, one learning that you got from this video. That would be very much appreciated. But that's pretty much it for me today. So that's Jen T signing off for part 2 of my Narcissists and Psychopaths series. Thanks for watching. Enjoy the rest of your day. Bye bye.